Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. This is Willie Cartwright with From Saved to Sane, your bi-weekly or we will get more. We've been fairly consistent, but uh, at least twice monthly, with the exception of the summer, we here on this podcast try to help you navigate your journey through religion and spirituality, wherever you may find yourself from the standpoint of questioning your faith, all the way to those of you who've made the decision that religion or spirituality, or however you define and look at it, is not part of your life anymore. And I apologize for that. I need to turn my phone down. Um, so yeah, we are here today. It's been a couple of weeks since I was here, and I'm gonna begin today by kind of explaining to you guys what's going on and why that took place. Christine, what's going on? Glad to have you with us. Yeah, I was. So um, let me kind of explain. Since Christine said greetings, I thought you were on vacation. I was, and I am. It's not. It's sort of a vacation, but as I told many of you, my wife and I decided a while ago. Let me go back to the beginning because this is sort of indirectly connected to what we do here on this podcast. So my wife and I decided a few years ago that we would try to detach ourselves from the rat race, the hustle and grind, as soon as possible, as much as we could. And so we've been progressing and matriculating through that process of detaching ourselves from the hustle and grind and the rat race. Those of you, and as I mentioned this, I always mention, I'm Generation X. By the way, the best generation ever. But those many of my peers in Generation X, like I am, are completely exhausted, and my wife as well. But when you think about the promises that were made to us, many of us, our parents, encouraged us to pursue college and get as many degrees as possible and go to work and find a great company and work 30 or 40 years and retire with a fantastic retirement. Well, many of us, most of us in Generation X have found that to be more of a elusive dream, especially 25, 30, for some of us even 35 years into this American dream thing. And so my wife and I decided a few years ago that we were going to get out of it any way possible. And so I mentioned to you guys a few weeks ago that we are moving out west. I have long been a fan of living out west, the more laid back, not slow, but the more laid back pace. I know it's hot right now in Arizona and Nevada. It's approaching 110, 115 degrees. Actually, I just got a call from a friend of mine from here who's out there vacationing with her family. And she asked, "Well, why are you moving out here? It's 115 degrees." I said, "Well, in the summertime, it's hot everywhere. And I believe, and from what I can tell, I can better tolerate the dry heat than the humidity here in the South, here being Atlanta." So fast forward, my wife and I made the decision to move to Henderson, Nevada. Anybody familiar with Henderson, Nevada? Anybody know anyone out there? But it's pretty much a done deal. We've signed a lease. Still got to put a deposit, but we've signed a lease to be out there, and we are in the process of moving. So that takes me to where I am now. So we're literally in the process of moving. As you can see, there are no videos or pictures. I mean, I'm not sorry, not videos, but there are no pictures. There's no scenery, anything behind me. I am in a room. I'm in what used to be my office in our home, a townhome, which we are going to rent out. But there is nothing. Everything is gone. My desk is gone. This is a makeshift desk that I have. Everything is gone. It's just trash in the room. So we're in the process, literally in the process of moving. We should be. We're going to drive across country because it's something that my wife always wanted to do, and we'll probably leave in 2 to 3 weeks, right around her birthday, which is the 23rd of June. So we're going to make that drive from here being Atlanta, to Henderson, Nevada. So we've made a decision to get out of the rat race, get away from that illusion, that fake dream, and live a more laid back life, a lot more vacations, a lot more uh, um, easy way of living, which would also is going to also provide me a lot more time, energy to do this podcast because I will continue to do this podcast. I will also start another podcast. For those of you who may be interested, that podcast would be about what I just talked about, getting out of the rat race, reinventing yourself after the age of 50. So we're going to do a podcast based on that because there's a lot of people who want to get out, and I can perhaps help with that, or at least give them some information, or at least provide them with some comfort that there are other people who are doing it and have done it successfully. So that takes us to where we are now. So part of that whole getting out of the rat race, breaking away from the matrix, as we call it, I believe that it began with us, my wife and I, when we let go of religion back in 2015. So this has been up to date a 9-year process of going through, but it began with us breaking away from religion. And so let me read some of the comments. I'm so glad. Christine said, beautiful area and homes. Absolutely. We were out there 3 weeks ago now, a week in Henderson. We found a place and then we drove across the desert, beautiful desert, um, to Los Angeles, Southern California, which is my absolute happy place. But being in Henderson puts me a lot closer, about 4 hours away, without dealing with some of the issues that California as a state is dealing with. And I can get in and get out and do what I want to do. So we had a fantastic time. But anyway, I don't want to belabor that. Amanda said, congratulations to your wife. Thank you so much, Amanda. We certainly appreciate that. Mo Wheat, my friend left Henderson and moved to Indianapolis because of the water concerns. Yeah, there are some water concerns. However, I know that's something in the future that they're anticipating. I trust and believe that they have a plan. I've heard that they have a plan. If not, it becomes that big of an issue, we'll pack up and we'll move somewhere else. So we're good with that as well. I don't plan on, as I told my in-laws, I do not plan on moving back down south. My own personal reasons for that. Atlanta has been awesome, has been fantastic, but it's time to go, time to do something else. I've been in the South all my life, so it's time to do something else. So yeah, let's see. I was hoping you wouldn't forget about us. Of course not. Absolutely not. Mo Wheat said, or future lack of water. Yeah. Christina sent hi to Mo Wheat. And Amanda sent hi to Christine. Yeah, glad to have you. So yeah, so that's what's going on. So again, to fast forward, so this will be the last podcast I do for the summer until August. We're scheduled to move into our apartment in early July. I think our lease starts July 1st in Henderson. So it'll take a few weeks to take a few to get ourselves together and get back on this. But then after that, we should be full steam ahead, at least every other week. And I hope to improve on this podcast, maybe get some guests and do some other things. But yeah, so that's sort of in a nutshell where we are, what's going on. So I'm happy to be here, but I had to come on. I couldn't leave you guys hanging. You guys are family. And I wanted to at least do this show and sort of tell you where we are and what's the future. And so this today's podcast, the title, the topic of today's podcast came about because I think someone last show or the show prior to that asked about this topic. And so the topic is evolution versus creation. What does the evidence say? And so we're going to talk about these things, and I know I'm going to hopefully I can get some people who are pro-creation to come on. If not, as always, I would certainly get some people in the chats and the comments later who will have their comments. So as I always do, as I start off, let me say absolutely thank you to a couple of people. First of all, Taisha Essick, and I don't know if she's on. She may be listening, or she may catch this at a later time. I certainly appreciate her, everything that she's done. She's been a tremendous help. Again, you guys, you got to follow her on Facebook. She is hilarious. She is on point. She is truthful. She is very factual. She is not apologizing whatsoever. So it is refreshing, and it's very interesting to follow her on social media, also on all of her channels as well. And secondly, certainly say, thank you to my wife who is basically doing some touch-up paint in the house right now. And a lot of the work I've been working on, like sort of the big things. We had water damage in the house. So I've been working on getting that done and fixed, and some other stuff, getting my godson to move some stuff for us and some junk out. So yeah, so it's a team effort. But thank her so much for allowing me to have the space and the time to do this and everything that she's done. So hopefully we got all of that out of the way. Christine said I haven't been there except for YouTube home channel. Christine said yes. What a character. Oh, you're talking about Taisha. So yeah, so I'm glad that you guys are here. Certainly appreciate it. Please give me your comments on this topic. And so we are going to get into it. You cannot get into this topic without having disclaimers and sort of guidelines when you discuss this. So I'm going to attempt to do this sort of like a trial. And so what I hope to do is to present evidence, and because I am pro evolution and Big Bang, the majority of my evidence would be on that side. But I do have 7 points that I got from a church online, that 7 things that they believe, or 7 points that they believe proves the existence of God. So we will hopefully get to that as well. But let me give some disclaimers. First of all, this is the information that we put forth. I am not an expert in the area. I am not a scientist. I am not a biologist. I am not astrophysics, physicist. I am not anybody that will specialize in doing this. I basically did the research, and I will tell you where some of the research came from. But I basically did the research, and then obviously what I've been working on for the last almost 10 years now in this subject area. So I am astute enough to have these discussions, but I'm not by any stretch of the imagination an expert. So let's get that out the way. Secondly, and then we'll go into basically defining what a theory is. But this evolution is a scientific theory. And if you know anything about scientific theories are backed and supported by the available evidence. So it's just not an idea that's thrown out. The word theory in science is actually the having an idea is an hypothesis. That's an idea that hasn't been proven, or evidence hasn't been presented to prove that. A theory is an hypothesis where the evidence has been presented, tested, and to this point presents the best plausible explanation for whatever the subject is. And so that's what we're talking about now. We're not talking about a 100% ironclad, this is how we came about to be as human beings, how the universe came. This is based on the available evidence, scientific evidence that has been tested to this point. This is the most plausible explanation for our existence. And so I don't know how much better to say that. And so this is going up against or versus what we have as evidence to prove that creation is the most plausible explanation for our existence. So we have that. So we got that out the way. And so now what I want to do is also separate a couple of things. Evolution is not the process of explaining our origins, us being human beings, us being things, animals, plants, whatever. It is not what's used to explain our existence, the origins of our existence, how we came to be. Evolution is just what it says. It is the evolution, the evolving of us as a species from a single cell organism to what we are today. That is evolution. That is the definition of evolution. Big Bang, on the other hand, the Big Bang theory, it is the most plausible explanation of how the universe began and how we came about, how species came about, right? And so we're going to discuss those things, and we're going to keep it separate from that. And finally, a final disclaimer or a final point to this is, um, I hope to present, or I will be presenting information and evidence that will, at a minimum, present a foundation or a floor that shows that, again, the most plausible explanation for us being here as Homo sapiens today is evolution. Um, and so, what I will hope is that those on the other end, on the other side, who are presenting that that creation is the most plausible explanation, I would expect to and require you to present evidence that three things: that A, creation is the most plausible reason for us being here; B, that creation is done by a God, and C, that that God is your God, and whether you're a God, believe in Abrahamic God or whatever God. And so I am giving you, those of you, I'm giving you leeway because I'm not even going into the argument of having you prove that a God exists, because that, I'm trying to help you out. So yeah, so so as I said before, again, this came about because someone had mentioned this and said that would be a great topic for discussion. And I think even with today, we're going to have to revisit this subject many times over. So this is going to be sort of a brief overview and some very surface level information and a discussion. So again, please feel free to join in with us. So let me begin by making my statement as maybe I would do an opening statement if I was defending something. So we have mounds and mounds and mounds of evidence that evolution and Big Bang is the most plausible theory for our origination and our current existence and our current state. To the point where evolution is taught as a scientific fact in schools, in most public schools, um, middle schools, high schools, universities, and colleges. And so there's tons and tons of work that has been done on it, going all the way back to Charles Darwin, which we won't do a lot with Charles Darwin because some of his stuff is old and antiquated and outdated. So there's plenty of more recent information. So how do we? What are the ways that we? What's the evidence that leads us to believe that evolution is where we are, or how we where we are today, how we got to where we are today, how we get to where we are today? I think one of the most common pieces of evidence that we all know about, we all see all the time, is fossils. And so when archaeologists find fossils, they're able to show through testing of the fossils either animals that no longer exist, have gone extinct, but not only that, but they're able to show um, how those extinct animals, and I'm sorry, I'm turning my phone down, and extinct animals or species are somewhat related to the animals that exist today. Um, and I read somewhere, and I need to get the information, but I read somewhere where over 90% of all the animals that have ever lived are extinct. Over 90%. So the fossil records will shows us where there were other animals that no longer exist, how those animals are related to the animals that we have today, and through evolution that those changes have happened. So there's two types of evolution. There's microevolution and macroevolution, and this is extremely important because creationists or those other individuals who don't believe in evolution will say, "Well, how come we've never seen us being human beings? How come we've never seen a a fish turn into a man, or one species literally turn into another species?" Microevolution is small changes to the genetics of a particular species, and we see that all the time. There is, evidence of that in animals when you get from a tiger or a lion to a cat, wolves, coyotes to dogs. There's fruit flies experiments from the 1950s and forward that show all of that. Even with us as human beings, the fact that some of us are lactose intolerant and other of us are not, based on what part of the world we live in, that's an example of a microevolution. The fact that some of us, if you go through the history, the evolution of human beings, beginning when Homo sapiens first existed, which was about 250,000 years ago, depending on where we lived, it dictated how much hair we had on our bodies, the size of our nostrils, um, the width, the depth, and the breadth of our chest cavities. All of that was dictated by geography and where we lived in the world. And as we made it or came together and moved around, many of those characteristics or those physical traits proved to no longer be needed. And so as we procreated over the many thousands of years, some of those traits became less noticeable or non-existent. So we have less hair, human beings. Most of us have less hair. Um, Depending on where you are, where you're from, we have different nostril sizes. But there are parts of our bodies that we no longer need, but they're still there. The certain appendages, the appendix is one. I think there's about six that scientists have identified that we once needed, but that we no longer need and we no longer have. So all of that, all of those things are evidence of micro evolution. And scientists would tell you that if you extrapolate those micro changes out over 3.5 billion years, you can understand how we get macro, larger, larger scale evolution. Um, it is scientific fact that human beings and apes evolved from the same ancestral line. And so that's a fact, there's evidence, that's there. Amanda said sinus sufferers, absolutely. So we have all this information that talks about micro evolution. And so the reason why we have not seen one species become a totally new species is because we haven't been here existing, or we haven't been around long enough to see those changes. But scientists, to the best of their knowledge and the evidence that they have presented, and believe that those changes occurred, and that we absolutely have done that. Henry Morris said, "Hola, family. What's going on? How you doing, Henry? Glad to have you." Henry, we're talking about evolution versus creation. Um, and so I mentioned fossils, but we talked about direct observation. Scientists have seen direct observations of micro evolution. You talk about pesticides, how insects become immune to certain pesticides. That's an example of a microevolution. The body, something in the body, genetics, DNA is evolving to where it no longer, where those pesticides no longer affect the animal or that particular species. We've seen species that that change genetically to the point where they're no longer able to procreate with the original species that they came from. And so all of that is an example of microevolution. Again, the reason why we have never seen macroevolution is because we haven't been around, or we haven't physically been on Earth here living long enough to actually see the process, because the process takes hundreds of thousands and millions and even billions of years to go through the process. But again, this is a theory. This is a scientific theory. This is the most plausible explanation for our existence, how we got here, how we evolved here. Um, and so again, we talked about going back to our origins. So remember, Big Bang is actually um, the way Big Bang is explained, and it's not many non-believers and Christians and creationists like to say that Big Bang is getting something from nothing, and that's not true at all. Big Bang is an expansion of what already existed. and the creation of the universe as we know it, because that's from where we start counting time from the beginning of the universe. We don't know what was before the expansion, Big Bang slash the expansion. We can only go from the universe forward, right? And so that's where we are on that. The Earth itself is what 3.5 or 4.3 billion years old. Um, but scientists will tell you again, you can look this up. This is a quick Google search, any science book. All life on Earth evolved from a single cell organism 3.5 billion years ago. That is what's taught in history. I mean, science books. That is the foundation of what we go on with evolution. Again, I'm not saying that it's 100% ironclad. What I'm saying, and what most scientists would tell you, is that this is the most plausible explanation as to our origins and where we are today. And so, in this exercise that we're doing today, what we're doing is presenting. It's just like being in a courtroom presenting a case. We're presenting our evidence on the side of evolution, and we're asking Christian creationists or any other religious people who believe that there is a divine creator responsible for all of this to present your evidence of such. And so we go on to that. And so I want to be fair, but let me just give you a couple of sources. Phys.org, phys.org, printed an article in 2016 that talked about evolution, how we got here, all the things that I've talked about. Also, there's a scientist by the name of Fiona McDonald, who published an article in 2019. I forgot the name of the magazine that she published it in, but look up Fiona, Fiona McDonald, 2019 article in that. And so I want to be fair as I can, and talk about some of the things that creationists talk about as their evidence for God. Remember, I'm saying this is their exact words, their evidence for God, or that God is as the creator. And we'll talk about some of those things as well. But again, there are fossil records, there's direct observation, there's dating, there's DNA dating, all kind of other scientific methods that have been used to prove, to give us evidence that evolution is a thing, and evolution is the most plausible reason as for us being here here today. So again, I wanted to be fair, so I looked up an article, the United Church of God, a October 2021 article, and it talked about 7 reasons as to why us being here is a responsibility, is because of God or a creator, or God the creator. And they're saying that this is what science has said to them, or science has stated. And we can go through each one and discuss. And so again, give me some comments on this, and we'll certainly read your comments, and we'll go from there. But the first one, in this article, it said that the universe, these Christian apologists, this is a church, the source is a church, so consider the source. It is a church. It says that the scientists have said that the universe had a beginning. Now each one of these are going to end the same way. So the universe had a beginning. We know that through Big Bang, we start counting the universe as having a beginning. Okay, so I'm fine with that per se, but I know there's more. There's more technical. It's more technical than that. But just sort of to keep it on surface level, let's go with that. The universe having a beginning. Again, remember the 3 things I told creationists that they needed to prove, or Christian creationists that they needed to prove, was that, first of all, that that we got here, where's evidence for creation? 2, that the creation was by a God, and the creation was by your God. So if you say that the universe had a beginning, that is not evidence that that beginning was orchestrated, done by a God, certainly not by your God. And it's really not evidence that we still don't know that the universe necessarily had a beginning. Because remember, Big Bang is not necessarily a beginning, it is an expansion of something that already existed. We identify or we call or we name that expansion the universe, right? But it is an expansion of what was already created. Um, Henry Mars said, "Creation myth YouTube channel is great for debunking creationists." Absolutely, it's something you can go on. Exactly, Amanda said exactly. Yep. The second thing, the universe is fine tuned for life. Let me spend a minute here. I don't think that we can objectively say that. And what's our definition of life? Well, we certainly know that human beings cannot exist uh, in the universe outside of the earth without special equipment. So we certainly know that, and we haven't found um, objectively found other life forms in the universe. Now, I don't have a problem with believing that there's other life forms out there. We haven't found any that we can say, yes, this is exactly fact that there's other life form. So that is a misnomer. Again, I end this with the same way I end the other one. Even if that was true, again, that would not be proof that your God, that a God created the universe, and that it was your God who created the universe, and that indeed the universe was created. Um, Jay Jamming, what's going on? Glad to have you. A good read on this is Spirituality Before Religion by Professor Hiawatha uh, Kamane. See, this is why I love this group, because you guys have wonderful information. I'm just a facilitator, so absolutely, that is an excellent option there. Good Reading in Spirituality Before Religion by Professor. As a matter of fact, I might get that book myself. I can't buy anything else right now because we got to move. We got enough stuff to carry, but that's on my list. Jay Jam, appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll have to take note of that and get that. Amanda said BC and AD. The BC and AD, yeah, we'll get back to that too. Texas Goddess said, "Hey, what's going on, Texas Goddess? How you doing? Oh, you explain that. Type the book in chat. Yeah, type the book in chat, please. Amanda, I'm sorry. Are you asking me to explain BC and AD? Um, BC, before the Common Era. It really stands for before the Common Era, but we like to say, some religious people like to say before Christ. That's an easy explanation. At the time, the Romans ruled the world, and they based it on, or people after the fact started counting the calendar based on what they believed to be the death of this Jesus Christ figure. Again, doesn't prove um, that a God exists and a God created us. Because you can still have a Jesus Christ figure or Jesus figure without that figure A being divine, without that figure B being part of God, and B and C having that figure without the existence of a God. Um, and so, yeah, so that's where we are on that. Where was that? The third one, scientists can explain the origin of life apart from an originator. That's not true. Um, and I should have got the article. There's an article that talks about that all of the elements that were needed to create the single cell organism that all species evolved from, already existed in the universe, and that those figures theoretically could have came together naturally to form that cell. And again, and I as soon as I so again, that's why we got to do this in several podcasts. But I will find that information. But there are scientists out there that prove they have evidence that all of the elements, the natural elements that are needed to create life, already existed. And so scientists can explain that. And so when you say apart from an originator, again, let's end this the same way we ended the previous two. An originator is not evidence of a God. It is not evidence of your God. It is not evidence that your God, a God, created everything, and we don't know what an originator is. The evolution and creation are not the only two plausible answers. So if you reject evolution, that does not automatically mean that there is a creator. There could be an explanation that none of us know at this point in our existence as human beings, and that we're still learning. So yeah, let me go back up. Amanda said, "No, that's my response to what the church is alleging." Oh, okay, all right. Appreciate that, Amanda. Appreciate you clearing that up. Let's see. Mo Weed said Wednesday and Thursday are named after Norse gods. Does that mean that's real? Yeah, absolutely. And so again, what this comes down to, um, in a court of law, the person or the side that presents the most overwhelming evidence or the most believable evidence or the most plausible evidence is wins. That does not say that that person is 100% absolutely right. It just says that that person has presented the most plausible evidence, the most believable evidence. And so we have no scientific evidence of creation. All we have is a attempt to deny and disprove the evidence for evolution. And even if a creationist, a Christian or creationist or believers were successful in disproving, debunking evolution totally, it still wouldn't be evidence that a God, a creator, a God, a divine creator is responsible for everything. And so that's what I tell believers all the time, because they don't have evidence for a divine creator. It's just not there. And so, number four, what they talked about, the same church group, is science has proven that biological life, um, let's see, runs by millions of perfectly programmed robotic machines. Again, I got these points from a church. Uh, that is not true. Um, I've never read where science have said that, and we're not perfectly programmed robotic machines as human beings. Um, Number one, the body begins to break down at the age of 30. There are many, many, many people who are born with abnormalities or deformities. Um, and so our body breaks down quite often. We are we are subject to disease and germs all of the time. So that to me wouldn't be a perfectly programmed robotic machine. Um, Absolutely not. Number five, science has found that the earliest evidence life to be of great variety, fully formed without transition. Again, that is a lie. Science have found that single cell organisms are the origins of our existence, and that every species, animals and plants, evolved at some form through the evolution chain from that, and so that they were not presented here fully formed, as these Christians say. So that is not true. Number six, science has shown the Earth to be unique, a planet with so many just right conditions to sustain life. That is absolutely untrue. The Earth is not perfect from the standpoint of sustaining life. For an example, human beings can only exist on what is about 30% of the Earth's surface, if that, because what 75% of the Earth's surface is water. And so we're not physically, biologically equipped to survive in water without tools, without breathing apparatus outside of our bodies. So that is not true. It is not conditions are not conditions to sustain life. There are really, really, really cold regions of the world that the human body would not exist, cannot exist for a long period of time. There are places on the globe that are extremely hot that we are not equipped physically or biologically equipped to live and sustain for a long period of time. So this is absolutely a lie. That's not true. And finally, number 7 is that science reveals the universe is precisely mathematically designed while allowing for free will. I have no earthly idea what that actually means. Um, the universe is not precisely mathematically designed. And when you say that, designed for what and what matter, and then allowing for free will. So if you believe in this God as the creator, all knowing, all powerful, and he or she or however you define this God knows all things, that there is no such thing as free will, because you cannot, free will mean that you have the will to change something or make a decision. If God knows everything, then that means everything is set. So he knows that you're going to do something next Tuesday. You don't have the free will to alter or change what you're going to do next Tuesday, if indeed this God is all knowing, because this God knows what's going to happen on next Tuesday. So again, that none of that makes sense whatsoever. Jay Jamin said, Texas God of Spirituality Before Religion, and his follow up, let's see, Shabuka Stone, both by Professor Hiawatha Kamani. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jay Jamin. So those were some of the things that we took out that Christians um, uh, listed as examples of evidence for creation and creation by a God. Again, what I pound on and continuously talk about is that none of this whatsoever, even if all of this were to be true, none of this is evidence that a God, their God, created the universe. What we've done today is presented some evidence, little in the grand scheme of things, relatively a small amount of evidence that evolution and Big Bang is the most plausible explanation for our existence here. But we presented more than enough information and evidence when you compare it to the lack of evidence and information that Christians can present that the creation is real. Now, let's talk about the creation and the Bible version of the creation. Reason why is because obviously, and as those of you know, I am from Christianity. I spent 40 plus years as a Christian. And so this is something that I know quite well. And so as we understand creation to be, and this is probably something that I should have done or should have said at the very beginning, but when we talk about creation, we're talking about the biblical, the Christian version of creation, where God created everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh day. We know, those of us who have read anything in the Bible, know a little bit about the Bible, know that there are at least two creation stories in Genesis, and that there are differences in what, when, and how things were created, and at what point and what sequence things were created. And so that in itself creates a problem with the creation story. Uh, there are there are there are Christians out there who, for lack of a better word or phrase, they don't have a logical or rational explanation to deny evolution. So what they start to do is say that evolution is comparable or correlates with creation. I mean, with evolution. Evolution and creationism has a correlation relationship, um, a correlational relationship. And so that's not true. Any hardcore Christian would tell you that evolution and creation, the biblical version of creation, is not compatible at all. It is not compatible. God says he created the earth in 6 days. Science says that the universe is, was it 13.7 billion years old. The Earth is 4.3 billion years old, or I can't remember exactly the numbers, but 3 or 4 billion years old. That evolution has taken place, has been occurring for at least 3.5 billion years. Modern man, just modern man, Homo sapien, has been evolving, came into existence 250,000 years ago. And then there were earlier iterations of human beings prior to Homo sapiens, right? So that is not comparable, or that is in total conflict with what creationist says. Um, and so we do this and we have these discussions because, again, it's about logic and reasoning for me. When a person leaves Christianity, or any religion for that matter, it's been my experience that the number one reason that people leave is because the belief system, once these individuals start to do objective research and objective study and ask objective questions, the religion and the faith no longer, and the belief system no longer makes sense, logical or rational sense. And so, what I do on the other side of this is say, okay, for me, it didn't make logical or rational or reasonable sense. And so I know there has to be other people, there have to be other people, there has to be other people out there who feel the same way. So on this podcast, this program, let's look at some of the evidence, some of the things that will prove that religion, Christianity, or any version of religion, for the most part, is highly, highly, highly illogical, right? So again, if you know anything about the Bible, and the Bible does not specifically give dates. There are no specific dates in the Bible per se. The Bible doesn't specifically say how old it is, whatever. But scientists and historians, whether they be secular or religious historians, can go by um, how old Jesus Christ was when he first was supposedly born that year, and they can backtrack and backdate certain events and certain things. And I think we come to the conclusion that the Bible, I'm sorry, not the Bible, what the Bible says about how old the earth is. So we can use the Bible and certain things in the Bible to sort of date and give us sort of a generalized conclusion as to how old the Bible says the earth is. And that's somewhere, I think, around 8,000, I've heard anywhere from 6 to 10,000 years old. Uh, we have fossils that are much older than that. We have fossils that have been scientifically dated to be much, 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 much older. I'm sorry. What I said, 10,000 years older than that. If modern man, Homo sapiens, are 250,000 years old, then how is the earth only 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 years old? And so I just, as I started to do more research for this topic today, um, at some point, I just kind of said, this is really ridiculous. Not that we're having this podcast, because this is extremely important, because there are people out there that really believe in creation. Um, but I just said that the overwhelming amount of information and evidence on this topic, that proves that Big Bang, natural selection, and evolution is the most plausible explanation for where we are today and how we got here. When you compare that to the abundance of the lack of evidence, scientific evidence, that proves the creation story or creation, then it is amazing to me how people are not able to see that. Now, I also remember, and I also think about when I was a Christian, that I just took this information on face value, and I was not interested in doing research, and I was not interested it didn't even occur to me that this stuff wasn't true. However, there are believers and Christians out there who actually do this research, and know the information and the evidence, for evolution is out there, but yet still believe and teach and push creation without any evidence. And the best that these individuals can do, the very best that these individuals can do, is try their best to disprove evolution. And again, disproving evolution is not proving creation. It's not proving God. It's not proving your God exists. It's not proving your God is responsible for creating us, any of that. Um, and so so I'm going to wrap up here a little earlier. We're about 10 minutes early, unless there are other comments or questions we have. I'm going to wrap this up by saying we will certainly have um, additional podcasts about this topic. I am going to hopefully get comments and questions from those on the other side, and I'm going to look at those questions and comments and see if we can make that the second part two of this discussion and address whatever information or evidence that they have, that they being the other side, about creation being the most plausible explanation for us being here. And so I wrap up by saying I think I had a note that and I didn't even have it here, but it's gone. But anyway, I, I want to wrap up by just making this clear. Um, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know for sure. I wasn't around 14 billion years ago, 3.5 billion years ago. What I do know, however, is that as of today, scientists have presented, um, it's been peer tested, written about, researched, the whole nine, that evolution, it is the most plausible, Big Bang, natural selection, and evolution are the most plausible explanations for why we got here. And I've yet, in my 55 years, I've yet to see any person objectively present evidence outside of the Bible, and that's not objective evidence, by the way, but present evidence, objective evidence, archaeological evidence, any type of evidence whatsoever that creation and creationism is the most plausible explanation for how we got here. And so until someone can do that, I err on the side of science. I err on the side of what's logical and what's reasonable. And so we do that. And so we'll look for a part two when I come back in August. For those of you who joined us late, um, I am moving to Nevada, Henderson, Nevada, where it's currently, I guess, 115 degrees there. But I like dry heat more than the humidity here in the South. My wife and I are moving. We're in the process, literally right now, of getting the house ready to rent out and packing up. And we're going to drive across country in a few weeks. We should enjoy, should have fun. It should be awesome. But I will be back. We will be doing this. We will start back up in August, nonstop. We will certainly go every other week. We have great topics. Hopefully, we can get some guests on here, and I would try to spruce up, as they say, the podcast. Right now, it's very bland because there's nothing in my house, so it's a blank wall behind me. But I leave you with this. I am certainly appreciative of all of you who continue to join us, who continue to comment, who continue to add value to this program. I am thankful and fortunate. I think we're over 400 subscribers. All of these are organic subscribers. There's no I haven't gone out and purchased subscribers or anything like that. These have been just organic, genuine people who see this. I'm still not. I need to get better at promoting this on YouTube with the tags and all that kind of stuff. And I will be working on that stuff um, before I come back to get that. But yeah, we are growing. We continue to grow. I will be here. I'm not going anywhere. This is what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future, forever. And so I appreciate you. And I say, if you have some topics, send them to me. Look out for me early August. I'll be back in a new location. Thank all of you, Amanda, Texas Goddess. Now, the only issue is I got to figure out a good time because 6 o'clock East Coast is 9 o'clock there. I am a morning person. I am certainly not good. Yes, thank you, Jay Jamming. Please hit the likes, invite your friends, invite your people. But I am not good. Trust me, I am not good at 9 o'clock, not at all. So I'm going to have to do a compromise because I don't want to lose my East Coast people, and I don't want to be doing this I don't even want to be doing this at 8 o'clock at night. on the West Coast. So I'm thinking maybe 7, which is 4. I know some people still be at work on the East Coast, but I catch some West Coast people and I catch some Central Standard Time, Mountain and Central. So that's 5 and 6. And then people can watch the repeat. But some of you can just be at your office. You can stick the earphones in your ear like this, and you can have a screen up, and you can still be doing your work, and you can still be listening to this. So maybe on a Sunday, um, it's possible. But here's the thing, Texas guys. You know, y'all know I'm a huge football fan. And so my 1 o'clock games now got to be at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Um, okay, hold on. Amanda said 6 o'clock p.m. There is 9. Yeah. Was I doing it reverse? I was saying 9. Okay, 9 here, 6 there. Yeah, 6. Okay, 6 there. So if I do it 6 there, it's 9 here. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. No. 6. What time is it there now? Oh, it's 3 hours earlier. It's right. You're right. Kids guys are watching games. No, but Amanda has a point. Let's see. If I do it at 6 o'clock West Coast, that would be 9 o'clock. So maybe I could do it 5 o'clock West Coast, and that'd be 8 o'clock East Coast, and that might work. I can do 5. 5 is not bad. Yeah, so we'll do that. That makes sense. Maybe we'll play around with some times, but let me know. Thank you, Amanda. I don't know what I was thinking. My brain is going dead. I got so much stuff going on. My mind is not working. But I appreciate, again, this is why I love you guys. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, that may absolutely work. Also, Texas Goddess, I try to do nothing on Sunday. Except during football season, watch football. Outside of watching football on Sundays, I try to do absolutely nothing. That's my only day that I try to just completely chill. I'm Central and I want to participate live. Okay, awesome. So you would be, if I do 6, that would be what, 8. If I do 6 o'clock West Coast time, that's 8 o'clock your time, Amanda. That's 8 o'clock Central, right? 9 East Central. Yeah, that'd be 8 o'clock. That should be good. That should be good. We can do that. Yeah, I think we may be able to do that. So yeah, 6 in Vegas, 9 in Atlanta, which means it would be 8 Central, wherever you are, Amanda. Where are you in Central? Are you Chicago or something? But that would be 8 o'clock Central. So you can participate live at 8 o'clock Central. Uh, yeah, I think that works if I'm right. Yeah. 9, 8, 7. Yeah, so it should be 8 o'clock Central. So that should be good. You probably by that might even be better for you, man. You would have eaten and everything. Um, so yeah, maybe we can still do it 6 o'clock Vegas time. It just be 9 o'clock Atlanta. So that works. Okay. I'll get it right. I'll get it right though. We'll get it. Thank you. I'm just tired. But thank you guys so much. I will, yes, 8 o'clock. See, I got it. All right. All right. Great. I'll see you guys in August. Take care. Be safe. Um, maybe August we'll get into a little politics. We got stuff going on. But yeah. Oh, Minneapolis. Awesome. I hear it's beautiful out there. I hear that it gets incredibly cold during the wintertime. No, but I hear that it is absolutely beautiful there. So absolutely, so great. Thank everyone. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. I will see you in August. And certainly, if not before then, but certainly it'll be August. Look out for me and hit the like sign. And again, take care. See you later. Was that Saran? Peace to all of you. Thank you to everybody. I'm out.